start this out with what's called a caveat. A caveat means a warning or a disclaimer.
Okay.
A lot of people think I'm just totally anti-Moore, but I love Noble Drew Ali.
Okay.
Right? Make it make sense.
Right. Go ahead.
Right. So Noble Drew Ali gave me something to do. And the only reason why he gave it to me to do, because I'm the only one that understood the assignment.
Okay.
When you go back to what he said, how many more is going to make it? How he can count them on one hand and have fingers left, right?
Yep. Go ahead.
And he ain't talking about us.
Go ahead.
Right? He said the only thing that it surprised me if Moore did what?
Right.
Okay. So he's telling me something.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, remember the George Washington Challenge, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I told y'all it's a conjure war, and the conjure war is predicated upon education and erudition of the self.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They said in the George Washington Challenge that in 200 years that we not going to know which side of the water that we came from.
Mm-hmm.
We not going to be able to tell the Negropeans from the so-called Indians at the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Ain't that what they said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, when I come out and I say, hey, we've been infiltrated,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now, they set these organizations up so we can see where the infiltration coming from.
Mm-hmm.
The original perception of white supremacy is that it was people that don't look nothing like none of us doing all of the dirt to us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, remember, Chief Warhorse said that she had never heard of a Moor till they started asking her about the Moors.
Go ahead.
And when she went back to check, she found them to be what? Europeans.
Go ahead.
Dark-skinned Europeans. She said black Europeans is what she said.
That's facts. Go ahead.
So what is she talking about? So how do we get to this term being a catch term? First, we got to know what a catch term is. So let's pull up the receipts and tell the people what a catch term is.
I got
you. See, this is part of what they was doing to keep us from figuring it out by keeping us bound to the dogma. Well, we coming with receipts to bypass the dogma using the moral compass of just doing what's right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's gotta be one of these at the bottom, I think. Boom, boom, boom. Hit that like.
I'm gonna answer this question since you picked it up.
Let's go right there, bro. I got you.
Yeah, right. But right before we get into this, I want to answer this question because Lenny want to know, is there a holy oath or seal placed on Big Mama's seat at the Vatican? And if so, are the enemy using proxies to substitute the energy? The seal is this. If one man with a Y chromosome, if he got a Y chromosome and he's sitting in Big Mama's seat, the gig is up. They lost. Period. That was the seal on her seat. That's why they raised it up so high off the ground. And so no man don't, like the janitor don't come in sweeping the floor, get tired and say, well, I'm gonna sit in this big ass chair. Right? Because if a Y chromosome sit in it, it activate like a fail-safe emergency relief system.
Okay.
That's why they raised it up. Now the Pope slid his little dusty ass seat right up under Big Mama's seat, because they can stop you from putting Big Mama back on it as long as you don't know that she's been subverted, undermined. She's been Jacobin.
Okay.
Right? She's been victimized by the Jacobites.
Go ahead.
All right. Now, back to the George Washington Challenge. You can drop that now because it's distracted to me. I keep going on that subject for the whole show. Not that.
Go ahead.
The question.
Okay. The question. Okay, all right. I got you. Gotta go back. Let me do this. Boom. Boom. All right. Boom. Got you.
Okay, so what does a catch mean in slang? Now, in slang, if someone tell you there's a catch, it means there's a complication. Right? Okay. But if a person is a catch, he or she make a good romantic partner. Right? So this is one of the terms or meanings of catch.
Okay.
Right? Now, the first definition for the slang is the complication. This is where we at with it.
Okay.
Now it's another one, another definition on another one, another slide, Elder, that goes into what a catchword, catchphrase. Now, a catchphrase is a word or expression that is used repeatedly and conveniently to represent or characterize a person, a group, idea, or point of view. Right?
Like
Okay.
like black is a catch term. Go ahead.
Yep. So it's another one. I think I sent you another definition. That one right there, catch-all term. A catch-all term is a catch-all is a term or category which includes many different things. This is critical to understanding why the term more is a catch term.
Okay.
This part right here, right? And now I think it's one more on this topic. Right here, the meaning of a catchword, a word or phrase that is often repeated by or becomes connected with a particular organization, especially a political group.
Go ahead.
Now, if it's the George Washington challenge and this sucker supposed to be the first president, that automatically makes it a political activity. Now, when we're looking at the word more, Benjamin Franklin said, why should the Palatine Moors be suffered to swarm into our settlements? They will never adopt our customs any more than they can obtain our complexion, right? Yep. All of Africa, Asia, and America are swarthy black. Russia, Italy, Spain, France, Sweden. Now you notice the separation.
Yeah.
First it was continents.
Yeah.
Now it's going into countries in a different continent from the three stated continents.
Go ahead.
Right? These are European peoples that he's calling. The Italians, right? Spain, France, Swedes. Now we know Swedes to be the Morgan Swedish people.
Yeah.
Right? Which are closely related to the Dutch with the wooden shoes and all that. And the Germans are black.
Go ahead.
You see that? They specifically say they black. Now watch this. The principal whites. Now you see the word principal? Yeah. That's a key word in this sentence. Right? The principal whites, that's the ones that's being held tight to the center to feed off of, are made up of Saxons and the English. Okay. The Scots, Welsh, and Irish are not Saxon or English. So they tell you that them people from Scotland and the Welsh and the Saxons are not Saxons or English. Well, what are they? The Scottish, the Welsh, and the Irish. What are they if they're not Saxon or English? Right? When Benjamin Franklin writes this essay in 1751, the Black German king, George II, is sitting on the throne of England.
Yep, that's George II. That's King George the first. I mean, King George III, dad.
Mm-hmm.
Not his dad, his granddad. His granddad. Go ahead.
Now let's go to Google for a minute and let's find out. Type in King George in America, and let's just see what the little headlines come up. King George II. In America. Some of this stuff gonna blow y'all wig back when we get. So give them the twisted cap warning, Elder.
Oh yeah, hey, make sure you take that ball cap off and lay it to the side, man. We ain't no reimbursement on no cap, man. We ain't giving no cap. We ain't sending you the money back for no good ball cap that you just purchased. So take your ball cap off and get your hard hat on. You know what I'm saying? And get ready for this head cracking, non-stop King George. Non-stop cracking information, man. Told y'all that boy Roy be telling me every time. Every time, bro. All right. British. Okay. You want me to do the images?
No, just scroll down. Let's see what they say about him in America. His American connection. You see where it said in that little line that said King George in the United States? You passed it already.
Oh, okay. King George.
See them lines right there?
Right there. It's King George III, not the second. Okay. Signed a charter creating a colony in Georgia in 1832, 1832.
1732, ain't it?
1732, my bad.
Okay, now this is important. Notice where the colony at.
Georgia.
Right. Now scroll up so they can see what we're reading. Okay, now let's say right there. It says, what did King George II do to the colonies? Right. Now this is the same King George we talking about when Benjamin Franklin making this statement, and he's sitting on the throne in England.
Go ahead.
Right. Now he's sitting on the throne. He the king.
Right.
All right. Now, in here, it says King George II signed the charter creating the colony of Georgia in 1732. I can't see enough to read. James something persuaded the king. I can't see it. It's too small for me to read.
England needed a buffer between South Carolina and Spanish Florida. So Georgia became the first. Yeah, Spanish Florida with the Seminoles.
Now, right? What's important is the buffer between. Yeah, it was between. What did he say?
It says the king
between South Carolina
and Spanish Florida.
Right. Now, the reason this is Spanish Florida is Gullah Wars.
Yep, that's right. Go ahead.
Right. So the Gullahs, they ain't to be effed with. Okay, now go back to the statement by okay, now 1751. Okay, so now you got a time frame that we working with.
Black German King George. Oh, I said this. I put a whole tape out called King George about King George III. That he was, the boss.
Okay, go back up. Go back up for a minute, Elder. The principal whites are made up of the Saxons and the English.
Go ahead.
But they can't be talking about King George because right here it tell you he black.
Yep. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Now I sent you another one. It might be the next receipt.
Yeah, King George was from Welch. His dad was from Welch. They were Palestinians, the Afar people, the Afar from Ethiopia, that area right there. Them Afar people. They migrated to that area. There was the Welch, the Williams, King George Williams. They were Williams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Blow this up, and we're gonna. A member of Northwestern African Muslim people of mixed Berber and Arab descent. In the 8th century, they conquered the Iberian Peninsula, but were finally driven out of their last stronghold in Granada at the end of the 15th century. That's the 1600s. No, the 1400s.
Yep, 1492.
Right now, scroll down to the root word. You see that? Remember what Baba told us in that Moorish study class? He said they was Moros.
Yeah.
Right? Which is an inhabitant of Mauritania. Do we go any more? Is there any more on there?
No, that's it. That's how far as it goes. Got Latin down here. Hold on, it's as far as it goes.
Okay, let's go to the next slide. Now, this here tell you where did the word come from. The word derives from the Latin term Maurus, first used by the Romans to denote an inhabitant of the Roman province of Mauritania, comprising the western portion of present-day Algeria and the northeastern portion of present-day Morocco. The 11th and 13th century were not peaceful in the Maghreb.
Okay.
Right? Now, they being kicked out of Europe, driven to the Maghreb, and they having conflicts with the people that's already there.
Go ahead. You on them, Rod. You on
right?
them.
So now they know they can't stay there. So they got to find another homeland.
Okay.
The term Moor is an exonym first used by Christian Europeans to designate the Muslim inhabitants of the Maghreb, the Iberian Peninsula, Sicily, and Malta during the Middle Ages. The Moors initially were the indigenous Maghrebine Berbers. Okay. The name was later also applied to Arabs and Arabized Iberians. when they say Arabized Iberians, those are European slaves that was brought into Al Maghrib by the Moors. The most famous was Tipper-Tid.
Go ahead. We got them.
Right now, before we go any further, you see that word exonym in purple?
Yeah, at the top.
Let's go to Google and see what an exonym is. So remember, you got synonyms, you got homonyms, you got antonyms, and now you got exonyms.
A name for a place, a group, or people that is only used outside the place or group.
That means that it's not a term that the people chose themselves. That means that it's a term somebody gave them. Let's go back to the receipts.
Oh yeah, that's fire, Rod. Rod cracking heads. Also, the term Arab means to roam, like people that went from place to place.
Wanderer.
Yeah.
All right, now, Moors are not a distinct or self-defined people.
Crack heads.
Moors are not a distinct or self-defined people. The 1911 Encyclopedia Britannica observed that the term had no real ethnological value. Let's go look up the word ethnological because a lot of people ain't never heard that word in their life. Now remember, they say the word has no real ethnological value.
The study of a characteristic of various people and the difference and relationship between them.
In other words, the term has no real value to define who a people is in and of itself.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Right?
Somebody, yeah.
So it's an exonym thrust up on them that has no real ethnological value. Europeans of the Middle Ages and the early modern period variously applied the name to Arabs, North African Berber, as well as Muslim Europeans. Right?
Hey, yeah.
Hey, I'm just saying now.
Hey,
let's go.
Hey,
yep.
Hey, from to the person in the chat, Big Scoop, I think. He said, "Then what the heck is MUUR more?" Now that's it. That's still a catch to him too. MUUR is still a catch to him too.
It's a different word from a different linguistic source.
Yeah, it's from the Akkadic, from one who's of Aura of Chaldea. Right?
You looking at it as if it's from the Central from the Middle East.
Let me finish. Let me tell you. Okay, all right. So the word is still a catch term because other people were calling them that. They wasn't calling themselves that. These people were saying that these people were from Chaldea. They were ones of Chaldea or the city of Aura. So the people that was calling them that was Nigerians. They were saying that these are people that came from the land of Aura. So they said more. But it still was a catch term because it's based on the definition that you given, because it was other people calling them that. Like then it goes into the Morenos, into the French or the Greek, meaning dark skinned people. But go ahead. I just wanted to add that, but it's still a catch term, even the MUUR term, coming from somebody else based on this definition right here of what a catch term is. Somebody else calling them still people from Chaldea or Aura. You know what I'm saying? These 200 fallen, or these three, it was really 200 fallen. Then they were captains, but it was other beings that came down with them. Right? I just wanted to add. Yeah, but but all of it is catch term because these people didn't call themselves Moors. Really, it was other people that referred to them that when they saw these people come and they knew what land they were from, they said that these people came from Aura, so they just started calling them Moors. One who's of Chaldea.
Right.
That's what it really means. Yeah.
What you speaking of is a Middle Eastern linguistic stock.
Okay.
Right, which we call Indo-Arabic tongue or Indo-Semitic linguistics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In that sense, the word mu meaning derived from a place, meaning the place, the city of fire, in reference, those are
Exactly.
Chaldeans.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they
Right.
call
But
it.
now you do have the word written in the Incan record from a whole different linguistic stock
Okay.
that doesn't carry the same definition or meaning as it does coming from the those Arabic lines of the Middle East. This is
Okay, go
what
ahead.
what they do is, okay, so you mirror the terms that you want to exploit later
Okay.
in a different part of the world.
Mm-hmm.
You give the first because whoever originally using it is charging it alchemically to have
Okay.
a effect when people's minds perceive
Facts.
the word,
That's facts.
right? So when the Babylonian blood magic, money magic, and sex magic comes from the city of Ur,
Mm-hmm.
of the old Chaldee, right? And the Chaldean people, when you translate the name Chaldean, it means people of the flame.
That's right. That, yeah, that's
Right?
right.
But you don't see the word in the name,
That's right.
which means fire in that language,
That's right. That's right.
right? So whatever it is in the descriptive translation of the word Chaldee that makes it means people of the flame does not match with the source of the fire. That
Hey,
means they foreigners.
that's right.
They
Hey,
foreigners to the region that adopted the region. This is a whole
right.
different. Now we looking at stuff in 2023, but we looking at something from 5000 BC,
Yeah, that's right.
right? So what we looking at, you have to mentally project into the time period. What's going on at this time in that place in the world, but also in other places in the world.
Go ahead.
Over here, we singing, swinging, getting married like Christmas. We Mardi Gras second lining up and down this motherfucker with feathers on.
That's right. That's right.
We use feathers because the feathers are given to us by the birds in order for us to honor nature. It don't have nothing to, the metals was what the ones who was foreign to earth wanted. They wanted to come to earth to get the unobtainium gold. Right? So what did they do? They created avatars and jumpsuits that look like humans. Right? And then they go lay down in cryostasis and use a mind projector transfer. They just told you the whole story in a documentary that they call Avatar.
Go ahead. That's right. That's right.
Now
Pocahontas
watch
story.
this. The terminologies tie back to the events, cowboys and aliens.
Go ahead.
What no pale skinned cowboys for real. The real cowboys, that's Chief Warhorse family and all of them who kept the horse farms.
That's right.
That's who the real cowboys was. Right? Those were your ones who was in the native clan who used the buffalo as the totem that they turned it into a different thing. When they say buffalo soldier, they make you think these was a whole different group of people.
Right.
These was the natives who honored the buffalo as their family totem, and these are the cowboys.
Go ahead.
They was already riding horseback.
That's right. Bareback.
Right? They was already riding horseback. We was already had horse farms.
That's facts.
We didn't have cattle farms because we ate bison off the plains according to the need, not according to the greed. Let's go back. When they set up over there, before they set up, they studied the culture of the earth.
Right.
Right? When they studied the culture of the earth, they seen the languages we spoke. And so they derived languages using terminologies and terms.
Right.
Right. And then they come back and they tell us this bull story. And then they try to make things that as mirrors be the same thing, because if you don't notice, the mirrors is set up on both sides of the ocean.
Facts.
So Houthi did that when he settled what we call today Egypt, modern Kemet, or the Nile Valley. Right? The Nile River was a dredge that was done to reroute the river to drain into the Mediterranean to cover up a crater from a bomb.
Go ahead. Yeah.
This was from the Bermudas Wars.
Yeah.
Right? So this is not a new war. It's just a new phase of the war. Now, microcosm, macrocosm, they replayed the same thing with the words when they divided the languages so that they could control the people. But the hardest thing for them to do was to get our mothers to stop using telepathy to help us.
Go ahead.
So the only way they could do that was to tell you to put a wedge between you and your mama, you and your daddy.
Go ahead.
Right? You draw strength from your daddy, but you draw the wisdom to navigate the world from your mama.
Go ahead.
She give you your code, your earth code to navigate the earth through her mitochondria. Even though she's not in physical form, she's still driving with you, co-piloting you as your wisdom. Them the lessons your mama gave you that activated certain parts of your DNA. Because she teach you in a certain way, it's going to cultivate your character so your nature and your nurture becomes both enhanced to the greatest possibility. Right? So when they ascribe the term mu, meaning the designated location from, that is derived from Sumerian language, as well as the word right? Their language is written in what's called cuneiform, wedge script.
Go ahead.
Right? Now, for some reason, the old man who lived in sub-Saharan Africa and Zimbabwe sent a distress call and told the chief over here, Tahuti, hey man, we got invasion taking place. Where is it at? It was in Northeast Africa.
Okay, go ahead.
Right? Down into the left.
Go ahead.
Right? So they cutting you off at the knee. Down into the left. Because we know south is up because it get the most sun.
Go ahead.
Right? If it get the most sun, that means it's the most portion of it that's to the sun. And we know we had a 23-degree axis.
Go ahead.
Right? So if we had a 23-degree axis and they can get 32 degrees of knowledge, and then they get honored because they got 32 with an honorary 1 1/3 degree to give you a 33-degree Master Mason.
Go ahead.
What is they building? Right? They building an obstacle.
Go ahead.
Right? It's called a ziggurat.
Go ahead.
To rival what we was building as a energy grid around the planet that we call mirrors, MIR, but today they call them pyramids, fire in the middle. Now you know what they was trying to blow up, the pyramid.